here's a little map that I put together that will give you an idea. The darker the coloring on the counties, the more tourism spending per capita. So what I did, I took the gross tourism expenditure numbers, figured them up based on the population of each county, and there's no real big surprise there. The county that you could say is the most dependent on tourism is this county, and that county is what? Taney County. Branson, no surprise that there's more tourism spending per capita in Taney County than there is anywhere else in the Ozarks. And second place is this county here, just down across the state lines. Anybody know what county that is? That's Eureka Springs. It's Carroll County. So the numbers start to make sense when you look at the map and you think of what is where these darkened places are. Now again, as I mentioned, the state of Arkansas and the state of Missouri tabulate their numbers differently, and I couldn't tell if maybe Arkansas cast a wider net and calculated more numbers, because in general the Arkansas counties seem to generate more tourism dollars than the Missouri counties. That may just be a fact, or it may be a result of the mathematics going on behind the scenes. So you've got, after Taney County and Carroll County, the other dark counties, you can see here. Does anybody know where that is? Lake of the Ozarks, Camden County. So no surprise there that that's a heavy tourist area. And I can't tell if that's next dark or, I think that's like the third level. These dark ones down here, this is Stone County, Arkansas. That's where the Ghost of the Ozarks took place. That has nothing to do with their local tourism economy. But this is, you remember we talked about earlier, I think we talked about the Ozark Folk Center. Did we talk about the Folk Center in here? That's where the Ozark Folk Center is. Stone County also is home to Blanchard Springs Caverns. The National Park Service, or actually it's the National Forest Service, runs a big cave operation there. And there's a lot of national forest land. So that's a real heavy touristy area, and there's not many people there. So if you figure up tourist spending per capita, you know, that's probably a better indication of how important tourism is to the economy. This is Baxter County, Arkansas, where Mountain Home is, where C.D. Wright is from. And Mountain Home is situated in between Bull Shoals Lake and Norfork Lake. And just as the Lake of the Ozarks generates lots and lots of tourism money up here, the lakes do down here as well. Stone County, you get Shepherd of the Hills is actually in Stone County. It's not in Taney County. And not Shepherd of the Hills. What am I thinking of? Silver Dollar City. Silver Dollar City is on the Stone County side. It's not in Taney County. And also you've got Table Rock Lake down there, so you get lots of tourism in that area. And down here, this is Cleburne County, Arkansas, and there's a lake right in the middle of that county as well. So you can see that where the Army Corps of Engineers built lakes, and we'll talk about some of the specific lakes later, built dams and man-made reservoirs, these tend to be high traffic tourist areas with lots of tourism money generated by boating and hotels and all that kind of stuff. So you can see, but you can see lots of these white counties where tourism really plays either a very small part of the economy, or tourism is just non-existent in some of these places. And much of the Ozarks, looks like about roughly half of the counties fall into that category where tourism is just not all that important. Maybe the scenery's not good. Maybe they're just too far away from an interstate or too far away from a lake or something like that. Any number of reasons why places have not been able to tap into this burgeoning tourism market in the Ozarks, especially since World War II. Though most communities, most counties have tried to at some time or another, they may just not have been very successful in doing that. Now, some of these places are, if you spent much time as a tourist in the Ozarks, you may recognize some of these white counties as touristy, even though they're not showing up as touristy counties. Has anyone ever floated Current River or the Jacks Fork? Over in here, here's Shannon County, right here. And it shows up as kind of a non-tourist destination, but that's one of the few industries over there. They've got the Ozark National Scenic Riverways, and floating those rivers, the Jacks Fork or the Current, one of the few things to do over there, but that doesn't seem to generate a whole lot of revenue for those places, a lot of tourism expenditures, even though I would consider that area kind of a touristy area. It's just not a touristy area that generates a lot of tourist dollars like Branson does, or like Eureka Springs, or like a lot of the lake areas. And so you can find some examples like that too. But a lot of these places, you look at like Wright County, Texas County, you think of those places, and there's just not a lot of tourism going on in those places. Not a lot for a tourist to do. They're drive-through places.
Hartville did have like a reenactment of the Civil War battle there last Saturday. If you heard about that.
Hartville did?
Yeah,
They did their civil?
It was a big deal.
Yeah. Well, it would have been. I mean, Hartville is got a population of about 500 people, so there were, who knows how many times the town doubled and tripled and quadrupled just by getting some people to come and visit. Yeah. Did you go?
No.
Yeah.
No, I just saw pictures.
Yeah. Hartville. Yeah. Well, there was a small Civil War skirmish at Hartville. It wasn't in April. I think it was in January, if I remember right. But, if you're going to do a reenactment, you'd rather do it in the spring than in January, right? You don't want to freeze to death out there. Just because the original guys had to doesn't mean that we have to. But that gives you a little bit of an idea of tourism spending in the Ozarks. And here, of course, is Greene County. And Greene County, there are millions and millions of tourism-related dollars spent in Greene County every year, but the county is big and thriving in a lot of other ways, and so tourism isn't quite as important to the local economy here as it is to, say, Taney County and Stone County, though, obviously Bass Pro Shops brings in busloads of tourists on a daily basis from all over the place, from all over the world, and there are other things that bring people who would be considered tourists into Springfield as well.
I don't know if you've said this class, but I'm a tourism major, and Bass Pro is actually the #1 attraction in Missouri that brings visitors.
The #1 single attraction. Yeah.
Yes, Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
Money-wise? I'm not sure which way. I think people-wise.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
I know it's considered the top
Right.
attraction.
Yeah, Bass Pro Shop, the #1 single attraction in Missouri. That's, yeah,
I know 'cause
Makes
there's a
sense.
class